Hi, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes of Wisdom, a channel dedicated to helping you expand your knowledge and develop a more successful and peaceful mind. Today's guest was national winner of the Sirius XM Top Comic Award. He has also done Just for Laughs in Montreal, JFL 42 in Toronto, toured all of Canada, appears in movies and TV shows, is an actor and a very good friend of mine. Welcome, Faisal Butt.
Hey, thanks for having me, Andrew. Let's get our 90 minutes on.
Right on. So excited, bro. So much. Oh my God, so much good stuff.
There's a lot of history here.
Yeah, we get right into it. We have so many stories. We've known each other for so long, and we've had such an amazing journey together and paralleled.
Sure.
And so let's start off maybe with just how we met.
I'll try to give like the Tarantino version, but I'll try to expand on some things. This girl breaks up with me, and I'm heartbroken. And I love hip hop, and I'm like, I'll just channel my emotions into music, and I'll just wrote a rap. And then a friend of mine, he had a keyboard. He's like, I'll make the beats, and it was just like a Fisher Price Casio, like my first piano. So we're just making these really cheap beats, and we put the song together called Connect Love, really corny. And then that guy connects with a mutual friend of ours who told me, like, hey, we're doing some rap stuff. And this is before MP3s and making beats on a computer. It's all like with instruments. And then our third friend calls a fourth friend, which just happened to be you. And you end up becoming the third bandmate. And am I right? Or did we also smoke a joint in college one time?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. It was the first time we met. I remember. That's right. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
So
I thought my mom was going to listen.
So now my parents listen to all these, so they're going to be like, oh, now we know why you dropped out of college. Yeah. Which is great.
That's it. Sorry, that's exactly what it was.
First time. It was. I remember that. I remember being introduced. We had a common friend, and being introduced to you, and he's saying, "This guy's a really cool guy." And I think I pulled out. I don't know if I had a joint or I pulled out a pipe.
It was something. Yeah.
I used to have I used to carry a pipe with in my bag, so I'd have like my rollies. But if I didn't have time to roll, that's how much I was into it at the time. That I would just stuff this pipe and just like light a pipe and just like, take a few puffs and then
and then go to humanities or
go to class. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Really smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you had that hairstyle, but it was shaved on the side. You had really long hair, but it was kind of like in a ponytail, and you wore a black trench coat, and it was like the summertime. I just remember being very like scared, like I don't want to get stabbed in this alley, because we were smoking just like right on the premises.
Yeah, because back then it was like illegal.
It was, yeah. It was basically frowned upon. It was like, it wasn't as commercial or legal. So you know what? That happens. I get kicked out of John Abbott, and then that's when I date this girl. That's it. And then me and my friend, who immediately left the band, and it just became you, me, and then our third buddy, right? And then we were jamming for a couple of months. I taught you how to write hip hop.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I admit that you taught me how to write hip hop, because I never did before that, which is amazing because, many years later, and we'll talk about this later, is many years later, I ended up writing, one, working in a hip hop studio for a few years, and number two, having songs on Universal Records in hip hop. And basically, you're the one that taught me how to write hip hop, which is cool, right?
Because you were classically trained, right? You were classically trained pianist.
Well, I didn't. Well, I took 5 years of Royal Conservatory of Music, and so theory and practical. So I had 5 years degrees of that. Then I took 7 years of keyboard lessons. Took 2 years of organ. And I did.
Right.
I took, under Indian masters, Dawood Khan and others. I learned, Ravi Shankar scales. I did a lot. I did my own I did my own work, right? I did my own thing, but yeah, I did have a
Sure.
keyboard teacher for 7 years. I did have different piano teachers, but did go through Conservatoire de Musique and all that stuff. But yeah, but then like I didn't know like how do you write hip hop? How do you go from that to
Yeah.
hip hop, right? So,
There was no, hey, I'm going to teach you how to write a hip hop song on YouTube or, different scales. We're all just sort of figuring it out. But I just remember you going, and I just remember like, can you just play 4 keys in a row over and over and over? We didn't even have a looping machine. So you would actually just go do 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 the whole time. Normally you just do one, program it and it loops. So you for 4 minutes would just be playing, which must have been just painful, just this repetitive thing. And then we had the third guy punching in drum beats from a speaker. This is 1997, so the technology wasn't there. We were just at the forefront as like a new program would just be kind of like would be on the internet, right? It was like if you remember, it wasn't like high speed internet, so we needed to download a program that would take 12 hours to download, right? So
yeah.
so we're always just like there's always catch up, but yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, so let's let everyone know I was the rapper in the group. Then you were playing keys, and the other guy was just in charge of like drum beats, and production, kind of putting it together. And then at some point, I never really had a discussion with you guys, but I was just like, "There's gonna be a brown rapper one day, and it's not gonna be me." I was just but I'd always been obsessed with stand up and comedy. And it was just like every time I was holding a mic, I was like, and I'm like, I was at the mall last week. Like I was just in the back of my head. And then, and then I just stopped coming around. But you guys kind of went from hip hop to like more electronica, well, faster BPM type thing.
Yeah, well, so what happened was
We were still like hanging out. Yeah.
yeah. So what happened was there was Arish Khan who became King Khan in the
Oh my
Shrines,
God. Yes.
right?
Right.
Who became like a huge star, like a massive star in Germany. And he
Yeah.
used to play for the Space Shits, who was like a very big Montreal band.
Yeah. BBQ, right? And
yeah, exactly. And then there was Nigel, who's a fantastic songwriter and R&B singer,
right.
and he was with us. And then I can't remember. There was Omar, a guy named Omar, also. Anyways, right.
Yeah.
And then everyone kind of as weeks went on. So this all started because this girl broke your heart and you wrote a song. So if you never had your heart broken, we never would have got together, which is the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
And then what happened was everyone kind of stopped going to like your house because you do it in your basement, right? We used to go. That was where we used to jam, in your basement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then everyone kind of stopped, and then basically Sad and I continued to write songs because he was super into writing the beats and I was writing the music. So we just were like, do you want to just keep going? We just kept on going, and then we just kept on going for like a decade or something. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't stop. And then we ended up writing, so many different styles, which is really fun, like trip hop, hip hop, drum and bass, 2 years straight drum and bass, house, trance. That was cool. Yeah, it was a good thing. But it started there. But yeah, I digress. Let's go back to you and a microphone and you and I playing chess. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, yeah, so we would always hang out, or you guys would jam, and we would always have like late nights where people would pass around 12:31, and I'd be like walking like, hey, what's up guys? And everyone would be passing out, but you're like, I'm gonna be up for 6 hours. I'm like, so am I. And we would constantly play chess and smoke. I wasn't drinking at that point. So that was a very foreign thing. But we would, I never drank. So we would.
Sorry, I got to bring this up. Just going to interrupt real quick. Anaconda. Okay. If anyone that's listening knows what Anaconda is, like this is like going to be like 0.001% of our audience. Anaconda was a cartoon that used to play at 5 in the morning?
4:35, yeah, something like that.
4:30 in the morning. If you
literally after the test pattern on the when CTV's like, all right, we have nothing else to program.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was like this secret code. Anyone that knew the cartoon Anaconda meant that you were up until 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Because you're an artist basically, you're a whack job, whatever.
Yeah, you're just unemployed, which I also was, and but we were very productive. We're talking a lot about just mysticism. You put me onto the concept of synchronicity. which was very important, which would play a really important role. Like just understanding what that meant. Like the Matrix. We would always say the glitch in the Matrix, right?
Sure.
But we were always playing chess. And then I was just like, been kind of obsessed with stand up. I always wanted to do stand up, right? And you're just like, yeah, I don't know if I'll try, whatever. But like my actual like making the choice or decision was like in a conversation. Like, I'd like to do stand up, right? And just like putting that out there into the universe, right?
Yeah. Well, this is like how I recall it. Again, it's probably completely wrong, but in my memory, this is how it is. You and I are playing a chess game, and I remember one point. I just want to bring this up. I remember calling you at 2 a.m, and I still remember your home phone number, by the way. And I called you at 2 a.m, and I was like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "Not much." I'm like, want me to come by and pick you up? You want to play chess?" You're like, "Yeah, for sure." Right? We play like chess from like 2:30 in the morning to like 7 a.m, right?
Yeah.
Just ridiculous stuff. And I remember saying like, reading a book and saying like, well, I used to read all these books. It's like how to be successful, right? How to be, and then it would say, do what you love to do and do it better than anyone. That's what it always would come down to. Do it. And then, so I remember talking to you about this, and we're over a chess game, and I was telling you, and we'd have these very deep, philosophical conversations and stuff, and saying to you, yeah, this is what I think that we should do. We should just put your heart and soul in one direction. Don't be all scattered. Today I'm going to be a cowboy. Tomorrow I'm going to be an astronaut, right? Just go like one direction. And then you were like, I said, well, so if you could do anything, what would you do? And then you were like, be a comedian. And then you asked me the same. And I said, well, I would do music. And then it was kind of, we looked at each other and we kind of made that like decision. Well, okay, well, there you go. Like, that's it. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do comedy. And I'm like, I'm going to do music. And we did.
Yeah, we're still like years ago. So many years. I mean, there was many years of just like grinding it out before we even like reached success. And there was like moments of like, why the hell am I doing this? What is this? I remember, and here's where we're very close, and I quote you a lot over the years. Not that I'm ever given advice to anybody pursuing anything, but people ask me like, what it took for me, so I'm like a nightmare. I have anxiety and depression. I'm a weirdo. The two things you told me that I passed on, and I'd always preface with saying, I'm not giving you advice, whoever you are. You were like, you have to be thankful right now for all of the success that is coming to you, right? Which was a weird thing. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, just put in the work, grind it out, keep your eyes on the big picture. But then you're like, if you truly want something for yourself, you have to be able to wish that for someone else. And that was like a tricky one. And people right away, they're like, what? No, I don't get that. I don't want that guy to get it just for less. I don't want that guy to get a Netflix up. Well, no, then, and I went through years of stand-up, like auditioning and not getting through, and maybe being bitter and maybe entitlement and figuring that out and medicating myself. And then the year, because it's almost like we sort of stopped talking, but I sort of like kind of remembered, oh yeah, I used to like live my life by those quotes. And then I just started to apply it, because like they would announce like, this guy got to the festival, this guy, and I'm like, what? No, not me. And then I just started, was like, so happy that guy deserved it. The guy was working. I just started looking like that guy or girl for them was writing jokes, performing, going out harder than I was. And then I started to shift my focus, and I was like, I don't know, okay, whatever. And then I got into the Sirius XM contest, and then that was like my laser focus. I also had a baby on the way, so and it was a big cash prize, so that's also why the incentive or the drive was there. But it stems from those two quotes that I would, and now I tell those to new people, or whether it's a musician or artist, an actor, stand up.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to be able to wish that for someone. If you can't be happy that guy got something that you wanted, then you're sort of doomed. Now keep in point, like I will call you, I won't be publicly, but I'm like, I'm so mad. This thing, you know what I mean? Like I have people that I vent to. I just don't do that publicly or put that energy out there. It's just like,
it's you don't focus. Exactly. You can have that natural reaction, but you don't focus. Like I know with you, because I was at every one of your shows from the first day you got on stage for like a year or something. I didn't miss any show. And
there weren't that many, because it opened micer, but when I got on, like, I'm on again. You're like, all right, let's go.
I was there every show. And thanks to you, I'm just going to go off on a tangent here, but thanks for mentioning that's really cool. Is because there was a snowstorm, and you were performing on Bishop Street, the place that
Grumpy's. Yeah,
Grumpy's.
At some point I became the host of this open mic at
so
Grumpy's.
So I had made a commitment, because back from like the playing chess, I made a commitment that I would support you in my mind. That I would support you no matter what. There was a snowstorm, like it was a brutal snowstorm. It took me almost 2 hours. I drove alone, like, to go to. And at that time, I had a lot of anxiety about driving, so I drove to Grumpy's through the snowstorm. It took me 2 hours to get there, and I came to see you and I performed, right? Because you're like, I'm doing open mic there, so I came there, and that night was Darcy Conroy was
Right.
playing. She was singing and playing folk songs on her guitar, and I approached her after. She's very pretty too, and I approached her after, and I was like, "Hey, my name is," and all that, and I was like, "Would you be interested in doing a song together?" And that became our second biggest hit, I Think of You.
Right.
But it was because I went through the snow, because my respect for you and willingness to support you and drive to support you is that I drove through that snowstorm, and just to see you, just to say like, and I knew that, there's probably going to be like 10 or 15 people there, because I mean, it's a snowstorm and whatever, but I just I told you I'd be there. And I never, Scarface, never break your word or your balls for anyone, right? So I was going to go there, and I did, and I went there alone. And because of that, I met Darcy. Because I met Darcy, we were trying to get a singer for almost, I don't know, like 2-3 years. We were trying with different singers, and I kept on following through. And then Darcy, and boom, we made I Think of You, and that became remixed by Oscar G, by Rui da Silva, by Pablo Sabalas, became one of the biggest songs, not as big as I Try, but a massive, massive hit. And anyways, thanks for that.
Yeah, no.
That's cool.
No, yeah. There's always some girl like in the mix where just someone I knew. Hey, what's up? Yeah, because I was hosting, and I remember you'd be like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "I don't know. She's never come here before, right?" And so, shout out to Darcy Conroy.
Yeah.
Wherever the heck.
Yeah, wherever she is, I don't know. I lost track. Yeah, whatever. But that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, but that's it. I like that. I like that philosophy, what you're saying. You have said so much amazing success. And I saw that was that year that you won the Sirius XM. I mean, you ended up opening for Russell Peters. Right? Like around that. Huge, like absolutely huge. I mean, for any comedian, forget about like, I'm not like saying because you're a brown comedian, but just for anybody.
Sure. But that's also like how it's a weird. I've had like weird special moments, because I wanted to do. I at first was like, can I do stand up? Because I saw a guy with the last name Butt, Brent Butt, and a guy named Russell Peters who was brown. I was on CBC, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, my last name is Butt, and I'm a brown guy, And maybe like years later, so just to have the opportunity to like. One, meet the guy that inspired me, and then get to open for him. I'm pretty sure you didn't like me. I don't think you thought it was funny.
But you know what? You're one of those
generous, sweet. What a sweet human being.
But you're one of those people though. Ever since I've known you, whenever you have that quality, when someone says you can't do this, you always prove them wrong, no matter what. If I say to you, oh, this guy's like the best chess player, you're going to find a way to beat him. If you say, Faisal, you I don't think you can do this. Like I've seen you, whenever you're challenged, you find a way. Like you do whatever, like, and you always win.
Sure. I think that, thank you. I think my problem has always been like the, like sustaining or just like maintaining that. I think that's like the constantly trying to stay motivated. Well, keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Like that.
I tell people often, I said, there's only one, you have only one, people say, this person, my boss, there's only one enemy in life. It's yourself, right?
Right.
It's yourself. For everyone, it's your own self. Sure. It's limiting yourself, stuff like that. So like you're a very smart, very powerful guy, but your flip side, like, is very powerful and very strong as well.
Oh, yeah.
You got to fight. You're like Faisal. It's like a mirror match, like Street Fighter, like Ryu versus Ryu, or Ken versus Ken, right? Like you're fighting.
Yeah. How am I always ducking my punches?
Yeah, you're very your mind is so smart. You're very good at tricking yourself, and you're like, so like I don't know. My perception of you from has always been this, that you're so strong on both sides. You're light side and your
Right. That's really
dark side
interesting.
is very, very strong. But again, you know, obviously use it and doing amazing things.
I had a friend describe. He's like, I have two close friends. He's like, this guy, he's like grounded. He keeps me grounded. He's like, you are up in the clouds, right? And it wasn't like a diss, but it was just like because you got that free. I'm like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. And I appreciate that because I'm not like a grounded kind of, I'm just like the floating. I don't know. I just love that the way he broke that down.
Yeah, I mean, you're
But
anything.
which is why you're the grounded, like you're the friend that's grounded.
It's another word for a bit like I would say like you're more exciting and I'm a little bit more boring because I'm a little bit more structured. But you know what I mean? It's not negative,
Yeah,
not in a
yeah,
negative way. But like I'm more like habits. I'm more like get shit done on time, more stuff like that. You're a little bit sometimes all over, but it's just creativity. It's not a bad thing.
sure.
But it brings you. That's why you get TV commercials. That's why you're in movies also, right? It's that same thing. Like when I try to tell people about, it was a great quote from Celine Dion's husband, right? When he
Sure.
lost all that money, he's playing he's like an idiot playing against like Daniel Negreanu and those guys like playing poker, right? Like why would you play poker against Daniel Negreanu? Like why would you
Sure.
play against the best players in the world, right? Play against
Yeah.
the worst people, and so he ends up losing like a couple $1 million or whatever. And they say to him, and they say, what's his name, Rene, whatever.
René Angelil.
Yeah, right. And they say, well, do you regret like you're losing millions? And then sort of they ask Celine Dion, your husband is losing millions. Does that kind of like piss you off or make you feel bad? And she's like, no. Like if he wasn't a gambler, he would have never taken a chance on me. I would never been a
Right.
star. It's the same.
Yeah.
She's so smart. She's so intelligent to see that. She's like, for her, it's so obvious. So it's like if you don't take risks. And I've taken a lot of risks, and I've failed so many times in my life. And just talking about that, they say in school they teach you not to fail. Don't get an F, don't fail. That's wrong. You should
Right.
fail. If you're not failing on a regular basis, you're not pushing yourself hard enough.
Right.
So, and that's the thing. I said it's so wrong. So play it safe. Get an A, get a C minus, but don't get an F. No, man, you should be getting Fs all the time. I get Fs all the time, man.
I remember a quote you said. This is like it made my monkeys. It was like just starting to blow when I tried was. And he's like, oh yeah, if we do an interview, I think I got this quote like locked and loaded. It was just like really good. And I'm gonna be like, do you have any regrets? You're like, my only regret is graduating high school. Right? And I love that. I love that. The gall.
I've got a lot of flack for that in my life.
The arrogance, but I there's some weird truthiness behind it.
Well, would it
Because
like let me qualify that because I've had people tell me that's the stupidest thing they've ever heard any human being ever say. But the reason I said that, yeah, I remember saying that to you. My biggest regret is graduating high school, and the reason I said that is because I was reading Entrepreneur magazine at the time, and it was showing all these millionaires and billionaires who never graduated high school.
Sure.
And so the reason that came to mind was because everyone's always like, oh, I got my GED and I graduated. And then I was reading that saying, oh man, I wish I could make my first million and not like, and say I had never even graduated high school. Like, it was just like a joke, right? But it just became like an open, yeah, thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
But there are people like the guy I originally started doing music with, he was like way into it. He was way more into it than I was, but he had that pressure from his parents that he couldn't say no. So he didn't have the voice to say like no to them and like yes to this. Right. He was very talented. And you know what? He just stayed in school and got a job and got married and I'm sure he's happy. You know what I mean? Whereas I like ducked out of college. I never finished. And I think I'm like 2 or 3 credits away from finishing. So even that was just like, I could finish, but I'm not going to. You know what I mean? So like every job I got that needed a degree. I mean, I worked for HP because you knew a girl and she was doing the hiring and I just backdoored in there. So now I'm working for HP. And you know what I mean? I just moonwalked through. I didn't have no degree. You know what I mean? I know how to like turn the computer on, and here I am, do problem solving and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I got that job because I knew someone. I was savvy enough. That guy got the job because he did 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're at the same place.
Absolutely. But like recently I
Same
saw.
school. I have a kid, but I'm gonna tell her.
Yeah, but listen,
Same
recently
school.
I've seen, and like I'm all for it, school education, but I'm not, but not to knock it, but they're saying right now with there was just about a month ago, they're saying that Facebook and Google and all these companies were saying we don't care anymore about your degree. So we don't care about your CV. We care only about what have you done and what can you do for us. So you can have, it doesn't matter. You could come out and have this fancy, whatever Ivy League degree, and you haven't done anything. They don't want it. They're like, I don't care. Like they'd rather have somebody who says, you know what, I built my MySpace from 5 people to 50,000. No, I'm just kidding. From like whatever my social, I have 100 million whatever Instagram followers, and I sold and 10% of them buy my product or whatever, something, just some kind of track record. You can say, look, I did this and I know how to do it because this is the proof, and I can do it for you, right? And that's what they want to.
Yeah, I mean, not to. I mean, look, buddy, you're happy in school. You find like if it's the path for you. But I mean, we were the type of guys that it wasn't. We didn't need it. You know what I mean?
You know what I would say too, though, that things move, it's exponential growth. So things move so quickly that going into a classroom in 2 years while you're doing your degree, the world has changed like so much that it's already, I'm not going to say redundant, but I remember reading this other very intelligent guy, and he was saying as advice, he goes, and this is very hard for me because I'm a habitual learner and I'm like a super nerd, right? I just learn and learn and learn. And he said, stop learning. It's like, because you can never keep up anymore. Like there used to be, remember when we were younger, we would be like an article, like a technological breakthrough once every like 3 months, or so, oh wow, there's this crazy thing, and now that happens like every 3 days. So like
also or the information, something happens and then we get it in the news, we read it in the newspaper. Or you would call me and be like, "Hey, did you hear about this thing that happened? I read it in you know what I mean? Like, I could look up what's the capital of Turkmenistan. Oh, did you know there was a dictator there? And I could just do a deep dive and do a whole podcast. You know what I mean? But information was just not so prevalent.
Yeah, well, that's it. As you said. Now it's anything happens.
Scary,
there's a one tweet. And boom, the whole world knows in 7 seconds what happened, right? Yeah. So that's one thing, and man, like I say, we grew up. This, it's a very interesting for our age group that we grew up pre-internet. We were in, in high school. There wasn't, there was just dial-up. There was dial-up starting, and there wasn't any there wasn't cell phones. There was pagers started when we were in high school.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. It was paging, and then the only people that had pagers were doctors or drug dealers.
Or drug dealers. Yes. Like 911.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go to a payphone. Like, what's happening? No, I'm not, man. Just seeing how you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, I got a 5-year-old who can use a tablet and open stuff. Like, so it is really weird. So I'm still trying to still keep it analog a little bit,
but we can see that, you know what I mean?
Just because of us,
but we can appreciate it. We can see it. Like we can understand the and we're just at that age where we weren't too old to like make that transition. You know what I mean? We're young enough to be able to be like, oh yeah, that's cool, and get it. And we're just old enough to remember what it was like an encyclopedia, like going to the library, like. Madness, like taking out books on dinosaurs. Oh, look at this. Like, oh, the book is out for my project because someone else is doing it. You know what I mean? You know? Now it's like, and it sounds crazy if you think of what a short span that was to say, well, you'll have in your hand, it's going to be your phone. It's going to have the answer to every single question you ever wanted. In the palm of your hand. It's too crazy. It's too crazy to conceive, but we saw every step of that happen. Like I had the Nokia flip phone,
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. It's so quickly. So what's going to happen when, like Sloane, she's 5?
She's 5, yeah.
Right. So like when she's 10, forget about 15, 20 or 4, but when she's 40, like, you can't even the smartest guy in the world cannot predict what's gonna be the world's going to be. But even in 5 years, I challenge anyone to tell us how the world's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, people who are in school right now, like when they graduate, the jobs don't even exist right now.
There
Do you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like there's the whole.
No, I got to interrupt you. That is perfect what you said, because when I used to read Entrepreneur Magazine, and when I was like 15, 16, and they said the job you're going to have in the future has not been created yet.
Right. Yeah.
And that's exactly right. So there's going to be all these jobs. I worked for a vape company, right? Like last year for 3 months, and there was no such thing as vaping. Like what?
Right.
Like 5 years, 6 years? I don't know. 6 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
7, I don't know, something like that. 6 or 7 years ago, it didn't even exist, you know. And then it was like, so like, how could you be? So who knows what's the next thing, right? That's going to happen, and it's going to be this industry we couldn't even conceive of because it hasn't been. And then things, if you look at Fortune 500 companies and the amount that Fortune 5 companies have closed, they just like closed their doors over the last X amount of years, and you're like, wow. And it's just like, so it happened so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, look at something as innocuous as is innocuous the right word? We would take pictures and we would get developed from Kodak. Guess what? Kodak is gone. You know what I mean? Kodak was just like synonymous with taking pictures. You know what I mean? So, and look, you know, not to, we all know our current situation here, the fact that we're on Zoom, buy stocks in Zoom, people. Like, who knows what's the job market going to be like? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
You know what? It's okay. No, it's okay. I know it because I know you're respecting that. I was just saying, like, I don't want to bring that up, but we have to bring it up. It's good. You know, it's fine. Like to bring up the situation. So right now, as we're recording this, we're all in lockdown, right? It's COVID-19
so
time.
All the people listening to this in the future.
In the future, yeah, this exactly for future people, we're in a lockdown right now. Well, you know, a lot of interesting things. One is, you know, commercial real estate. That like people are realizing, man, I don't need to rent this office for $50,000 a month anymore. When people are being just as productive, if not more, at home. So when this is all hopefully, you know, all over and everything's back, and then they're like, there's just so many crazy things. They're like, oh well, let restaurants open at 50% capacity. And there was a restaurant owner saying, like, if you're not at 80% capacity, you're bankrupt in a restaurant. Like if you don't, you know what I mean? For like Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, there's such thin margins to begin with, right? With the restaurant especially. I mean, you know, my lady's, she's the executive director of the Toronto Fringe Festival, and they had to like postpone the festival, which would have happened in July. So now when the government's like, hey, guess what, guys? It's all good. We did it. You know, there's going to be people that are like, not leaving my house ever again. And there's other people that are like, you know, running and high-fiving and hugging everyone they meet, you know. So condensing it. So like, so people go to see theater. Well, maybe not a 100-seat venue. Maybe it'll be like 50. Where, you know, where people are going to go to the movies. You know, so like job opportunities for job. It's like, I don't know. We're in a weird. You know, I'm babbling right now. Like this pendulum is just swinging with such
I agree.
ferocity.
Because you know the top, and it's not you, bro. It's the top experts have no idea. These are they're very, very smart people, and they're talking about. They have no idea, man. They have no idea. Like the guy I saw, the CEO, man. I must say, the Carnival Cruise, and he's just like, we're good. People are going to start really.
Yeah,
I found this very hard to believe that people are going to start jumping on cruise lines when, like, it's like the worst case. You know how much money they spend on advertising, like for McDonald's or any of these companies, right? Just like Carnival Cruise, like come enjoy and everyone's dancing. Okay, what's the worst commercial you can have for? And I hope I don't get like sued by Carnival Cruise, but like the worst commercial you can have is the news articles showing that people are trapped on this boat with a virus that's killing them, and they're not allowed to come back to shore. So they're basically trapped on this death machine, waiting to like. That's just like, it's just so horrible, right? And I feel so bad for those people. It's not, you know, something to laugh at, but it's like that as a TV commercial. It's just like the absolute worst thing you could possibly have. So how can somebody like he can say, well, you know, people are going to start like cruising soon, and it's all good.
But you know what? It's funny though, but like, I mean, cruise people are a different breed, first of all. So like that, I mean, there was like, you know, just the whole idea of freedom, you know what I mean? And people, you took my freedom away from me, you know? And so so we always tend to rebel against the very thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I remember Noel Gallagher. He was like, he kind of comes through with Oasis, and they're like the bad boys, yeah. And then over time, he was raging against the establishment, and then he becomes the establishment.
Yes.
Right. So
yes.
So yeah. So cruise people, go take your cruises. I get it. You want to have some sense of normalcy in your recycled air. I mean, I have been on a cruise and it was amazing. But yeah, but I don't know. People, there's just like a market, I don't know. We're just like small. We'll scale it down. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Each for their own, but like it's like when and how and what's going to change. There's so much. I mean, so many crazy things has happened in such a more short amount of time. I mean, like and it's kind of boring. But oil went to zero like a week ago. Like it went to minus. It actually went to minus. Like and like just such crazy things have been happening on such a like rapid thing. And then like I'm sure like anyways, it's too much to follow. It's like if this was a movie, it'd be like you'd be like, can you rewrite this because it's too far. It's too far.
Yeah.
Fetched.
And also, if this is the movie, like we're not even at the second act yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're still like, what's going on? Right. When will things go? And then we haven't had the alien invasion yet.
Right. No, for sure.
Turns on us. And, I can't wait.
Okay, so let's get to your choice. Let's get off the subject.
Yes.
Because for the people in the future, they're like, it's already solved it. They already know the answer, right? They already solved it.
Put the chip in. That solved all of our problems.
Yeah. Why are these guys so worried about it, right? Because they didn't know about,
There's one great, we used to watch SNL all the time. There was one sketch where it was Tim Meadows as a young Tiger Woods, right? He's got this, like, the phrase, teacher's like, my earliest memories was when my father glued a golf club to my head. Yeah, sorry. Guys, there's going to be a lot of throwbacks, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tangents.
Yeah. So, hey, so what do you see for yourself? What is the future of comedy look like now? Virtual stages. Do you know what I mean? What's it?
It's awkward. I think it's probably going to be done for a year. I think like what you're doing right now is Zoom. I think the idea, and I would never want to do like just a stand-up set in front of my computer with my camera. It just feels like awkward. I mean, and people are doing it, and that's great. Go ahead, stay sharp. I think this is more interesting. So like building a following organically, like what you're doing here, where we just talk, whether it's Jackie Chan or Ninja Turtles or or the what was that, the Shamolic? What was that group? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Shamalama something. Shamble? No, right? Okay.
No, I don't know. I can't read your mind on this one. But
Secrets of Shambhala.
Secrets of Shambhala. Nice. Good.
There you go. Yeah. Wow. I was like, Shamalama.
Yeah.
Like like that's way more interesting to have like that take. As far as stand up, like it looks like it's going to be on like hiatus. People are trying, and I don't know.
Well, basically, like what we're doing right now is like the Conan O'Brien show right now. Like this is like exactly how it does his show. It's with like nothing more. And it's interesting to see which comedians were able to, like Stephen Colbert, I think is a brilliant mind and amazing, but he does not thrive under this situation. He needs the crowd to feed off of. Whereas, Jimmy Kimmel was pretty hilarious still. Okay. I found, and then I thought it was because of, what do you have? The Man Show, right? That's where he started, right?
Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel
started on the Man Show, right? Which was, and so he was fine. He almost seemed more comfortable. He was uncomfortable with the big lights and the big crowds, but being just him at home, he was very funny. And at the beginning, I mean, Stephen Colbert's gotten better, but the first couple of shows, it was awful because without that, when you make a joke and you have nobody laughing, and it's like you're bombing. It's like you're constantly bombing, right? Like you make a joke and just silence, right?
Because you're like, is it funny? I'm doubting myself, and you just got to keep going, and they have a team of writers, so it'll get by. But yeah, I can't imagine being like, I was at the mall last. No, it wasn't. So first of all, we're all stuck at home. What am I doing?
Where's your material? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what am I, and then just to be like we're all the same observation, like stuck at home. So I mean, yeah, there's people that could do it clever, and I mean, I'd probably watch Chappelle, do a Zoom. If he was like, I want to do a stand up, I'd probably watch that. But no, there's not a lot. And a lot of comedians would be like, yeah, we're not a chance this right now. It's just it's putting it's at this point you're putting different swords in the fire. So I'm trying to write a script. I'm starting to paint a little bit more. I know I've figured out how to do hydro dipping. Is when you have like a tank. You have like two paint cans, so like aerosol. So I have like blue and red, and then you can just sort of dip. So I dip my sneakers in there, right? And so this is stuff that I'm like, wow, I always want to know how to do that, and I figured it out, So I was just doing that. So I'm teaching Sloan. I'm not a teacher, and I really appreciate them so immensely. But like, how do I connect with a 5-year-old to teach her how to read? So like that's like just doing activities like painting or watching YouTube videos about painting. So.
Yeah, that's what I see. Though there's a huge advantage of that. To going back to what we were talking about before about you being a little bit like super creative and in the clouds is that like you can relate so well to a 5-year-old. Like you see like so like like I see on I don't know. I mean it's filtered because it's on like Facebook and stuff. But I know you're just an amazing father. Like, you know what I mean? It just comes off. You're an amazing. I see the pictures. I see the things that I know it's like every second of every day, but you can see the love in your kid's eyes, and I know you're an amazing father because of that, right?
And a lot of that has to do. Well, I'm lucky because she's, my partner. She's an amazing woman. So the bar is set really high, but like, yeah, and man, I think about what a shitty kid I must have been for my parents, and
no. You can remember, no, you can say that, but honestly, dude, no, because we don't. Remember, we what is it? It's I'm gonna try to think of this quote. It's something like 80% of what we think we remember is wrong. Like, because through a filter, every time you remember it, you change it. And I even made a video on that. Like every time you think about it, you recall it, you shift it because it matters your mood. So if you're like angry when you recall that thing, like then you've twisted it, then you keep twisting it, and then by the time you've recalled it and changed it like 100 times, like you think that you remember it, but you have no idea. None of us do.
Yeah, it's kind of mutated. But and this is another thing too, which coming back like from stand-up. So like I never really graduated. I wasn't working, and I'm trying to do stand-up, and my parents have no idea what this world. But the only thing they know about stand-up is like Russell Peters, And so they're asking like, "What is your son doing?" Like, I don't know. He's doing stand-up. He might go to school or something, and.
Yeah.
And then an article gets written in Montreal in the Montreal Gazette, and then all these people are calling my parents, like, "Oh my God, your son is in the newspaper." And then the first line of it was, "Faisal Butt may be the funniest person you've never heard of yet." So my parents were like, "Oh, what? This is really happening?" And then winning that stuff, and then they got to see me open for Russell Peters, and so it was really cool. Before they let all the people in, they're like, "Let us up on stage." So my parents are just sort of like in this arena in Kingston, and then, and so that was like a weird. It was like one of the, I think, the only time they've been proud of me, or the first time. But that was just like, oh man, years of like just being the, I don't want to say loser, but like the underdog.
For sure. No, you're right. You perceive people say, "Oh, my son's a doctor." You're like, "Wow," right?
Yeah.
But he's a lawyer. Wow. And then it's like, he's a comedian. He's a musician. And it's like, oh no. Well, is he going to go back to school soon? Like that's the question, right? Like why? Yeah. But you know what's cool?
But now be like, "Oh, your son went to Harvard." Okay, great, cool. Oh, you're an engineer, great. Did your son ever open for Russell Peters? Yeah, didn't think so. Like, so that's like a weird pride point for her.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know what I think was so cool? I'm sorry to interrupt, but it was so cool is that we believed in each other before we did anything.
sure, yeah,
Anything. I believed in you as a comedian before you ever hit one stage. You believed in me as a musician before I did anything. And then we were also with, you know, Shabazz before he became Drum
sure,
Buddha and all that. And then Paul Frappy, Bad News Brown, before he became
yeah,
the
yes,
sensation
indeed.
that was Bad News Brown. And we all grew up, and we all like you know, in the same kind of area. We were all in that kind of thing. And well, not so much Shabazz, but you know what I mean? Like
But he was
close,
always 2 hours away. Yeah,
yeah, 2
exactly.
hours away. But you know what I mean? We kind of like all kind of crossed paths when we, and then, you know, you went and became like this, you know, huge comedian and amazing, you know, career. And then you have like, I mean, miles to go. It's not like you like peaked out by a long shot. You're just like, you're still like, you know, in the momentum of it. Um, and then I did my thing, and my goal was always to be recognized in two styles of music, and I was because I did two tracks on Bad News Brown's debut album in hip hop, and then I did well, of course, the house music. So then I was like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be like two styles, recognized for two styles of music. I could do many styles, but say I want to be recognized for two styles. So that I got my goal. I got my number one Billboard hit. That's okay. Now I'm kind of I've not, I won't say outgrown. I love music. Always going to be a huge part of my life, and I can't wait to get back to producing. But right now, this is like the journey I'm on, right? It's just like, because it's the same thing we used to talk about, right? It's like nothing has changed. We used to play chess. We used to talk about this. We used to talk about, right, philosophy and mind power and how to make it. And you need to know these things, and you say like to get to the, you know, the top, to be focused and stuff like that. It's just, I think it was really really interesting though, is that, you know, having that purity, having that thing, having that we were all like, we all knew each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you said, well, you know, we would come up like nothing succeeds like success, right? We would always say that nothing succeeds like success, and just sort of surrounding yourself with people. We always kind of push it, but surrounding yourself with people that are more successful than you. You know what I mean? And then that's just like kind of what I did. Like I was hanging out with talented musicians and actors and like whatever. And I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, if you are constantly surrounded by those people that keep it pushing, keep it moving, then that's, you know, if you have that focus too. It's just weird. Like before all of this happened, I was sort of like kind of at a low point where I, you know, I won this thing in 2014, and it was just like tons of stuff happened, stuff I didn't even imagine, and things were kind of tapering off. And then before this, and I was working part time for this theater company, which is great, but I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And I'm not touring, and this I was supposed to go on the road, uh, and then everything just kind of fell apart. I was supposed to do the show, with everything just died. Uh, and then my outlook was like, okay, I guess I should just quit. I just got a kid now. I can't be taking these risks. I'm like 42 as well. That's a different thing. So we were hanging out. It was like our late 20s. Like we're gonna live forever,
Yeah.
you know. And now we're
Oh
old,
yeah,
man. So
it is a little bit different, but I have, you know, I have very little regrets. I think playing it safe is not. It was never for me.
sure,
You know, and constantly risking things to do great things. You have to have great. You take great risks, and with great risks comes a lot of great losses and huge sacrifices and
sure,
tons of pain. And like just think, it all started because of the pain that you had because of a girl that started that
right,
song. The amount of things I've done was out of pain. That's what drives me, right? It drives me. The pain and the frustration is what drives
sure,
me. You know, if I was comfortable and happy, and it's like the hungry lion, right? Like the thing, if you're in the forest or the jungle, I should say, and there's like this lion, he just ate, right? He just ate like 10 zebras, and he's sitting there all fat. You could just walk by him, right? It's all right. That's not the one you got to be worried about. You got to be worried about the hungry lion, the one
right,
hasn't eaten in a week, and
right.
you walk by, man, he's gonna just devour you. So you gotta stay hungry, right? Like stay
Yeah,
hungry, stay that thing. Don't get like comfortable, like I'm this or I'm that. And
sure,
I like, you know, all that Made by Monkey stuff was like 2004, and we weren't. I mean, we weren't ready, right? We weren't ready for that, you know, for that level of success. Had I got like that level of success now, it would have been something completely different, or even 10 years, you know,
Right.
after. So like it's hard. So then what I realized is that there's a whirlwind. So it's like you're trying and you're trying, and nothing's really happening. And then suddenly, like just like what happened to you, like it's good and you're making progress, you're making these shows, stuff like that. But then just like bam, and it's just like boom, and now you're in TV commercials, and then you're in shows, and then they want movies, and everyone wants to interview you, and you just become like it's just like it's this thing. It just when it hits, and
Yeah, and just being, but also being prepared. You know what I mean? But whatever your talent is, whatever you've honed. Uh, I was at one of my best friend's wedding, and I just happened to be sat next to this guy, who's a casting director, and who was like, "Hey man, you have an interesting look." I'm like, "Thanks, I don't know what that means." He's like, "Oh, I'm a casting director. I do TV commercials, right?" And so I was like, "Okay, why don't we just party? We'll talk on Monday." And then Monday, you know what I mean? So it's you'll get these opportunities,
but that's
and
again
you know what I
synchronicity
mean?
and flow, right? That's synchronicity,
Exactly.
being in flow, and you're very good at that. You understand that, and we talked about being in the Matrix or stuff like that. And there's that book by Stephen Kotler, like Stealing Fire or Superman by Stephen Kotler talks all about flow state, and it really well details like breaks it down like synchronicity and what it is and stuff like that. And a lot of the times it comes out of these things like you know generosity, love, these things like that comes up, right? So like you went to this guy's wedding, right? You could have blown it off, right?
Right.
You could have
Yeah.
said like, yeah, you know what, like his wedding, I'd rather just like just play Nintendo all day, or so, I don't know, watch Friends, right? So but you went, right? And because like you go out and you do that thing, like so you can't know logically, you can't use your head, you gotta use your heart, right? Like
Right.
that's one of the always challenging things has been like often I have like a coach and mentors and people, and they're like stop using your head. They always say you get stuck in your head, you got to use your heart. If you use your heart, it leads you to wonderful things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
kind
mean,
of
if there was ever, are we putting a button on this? I mean, yeah, Jesus. But that's what I was saying, because I was like, I don't know, we're in quarantine for so long, and at first, like, obviously everyone's reacting the way they. I was like, before this all happened, I was like, I had this plan. I'm like, I'm gonna record this album, maybe film it. I'm gonna take more acting lessons. I'm definitely gonna try to book something. And then everything got shut down. So like all of my acting gigs, that's done. Nothing is shooting. Like there's no stand-up gigs. So now I'm forced. It's like life is like forcing my hand. I'm like, I mean, obviously I'll have days where I'm like feeling sorry for myself. I got to be like positive for my kid. But I have these like weak
yes,
moments.
yes,
And that's easy to be consumed by it. Especially I quit smoking. I started smoking as quarantine happened. You know what I mean? Like I was so like little bad habits are coming in. But
sure.
I'm also like working out more than I've ever. I've
Yeah,
written
you look good.
more.
You look good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm so I'm just figuring it out. It's in having, like you said, like having successful people. Like Lucy's way smarter.
yeah. She's the better half for sure. She's the
Yeah, she's
yeah.
got it together, and I'm like, hey, I got us camouflage headsets for your Zoom. That's what I'd contribute.
No, but that's awesome. She's an awesome lady, and it's a great balance. So listen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you for some closing thoughts, and I'm gonna have you back as a guest in like
Yeah,
3 months, and then the next 3 months, or in 2 months, or the next 2 months, something like that, and until we're out of this thing, and
yeah, I love it. I love that.
right, and we're gonna
Oh,
see like where we are the next time. So it's gonna be like a timestamp for today being May 1st, very easy. Or let's do like first of the month. Let's do every month. Let's do like
yeah, sure.
let's do June 1st. And then try to get
Yeah,
as close to that day,
it's
and
a
we'll do it.
Monday.
Yeah, we'll do it. That day, and try to move from there. So any closing thoughts for aspiring comedians, for aspiring actors, for anything? You've had so much success. You're an awesome guy, great friend. Anything you want to leave, words of wisdom that you want to leave people with today?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be easy. If it you know, if it was an easy path, it's not going to be easy. And I don't want you to quit, but I want you. We touched on this several times about failing, and it's okay to fail. And I'm telling you right now, at 14 years of doing this, um, I'm in like a weird place, but like my faith and just the people around me, why I love doing it. You just got to be true to that, because that over the years has gone and come a couple of times. You just have to remember why you love doing this. Like I was out of stand up, and it took a show that was storytelling, and I told a story about how I got arrested. I was falsely arrested. I had to go to prison. And it was like a pretty much 85% was like a female crowd. And then people were coming up to like, that was really inspiring. Oh my God, thank you. I think that got me back into stand up. So I said, hey, look, let me try. Obviously I still fail. I sometimes don't perform because I'm like stuck in my head and I don't want to have my ego. But yeah, it's a long life. Just write a lot and don't be an asshole. Basically, that's what Hannibal Buress said to me. And like, and I never want to be the guy that gives advice, because I'm just going to tell you what worked for me. And I'm where I'm at. I could have been doing a lot more, but I just found a lane that works for me and my anxiety and my mental issues of being Faisal Butt.
Awesome.
Sorry, that was like a rambly thing that kind of caught me. But you know what? I'm interested. Like, what in 30 days? Where am I going to be at?
Where we're going to be. Awesome. Is there anything you want to leave, like a website or anything that you got going that you want to like talk about? Or
you know what? I am FaisalButt.com is my website. Like I am my first and last name. It might say Lucy Evely here. I'm using my ladies account. Yeah, I am Faisal Butt. Like that's basically. I mean, I'll be trying to film some new bits, just like on my phone, and I'll just usually put them up there. You can check me out Instagram, or you know what? Like I'm 42, so really you can just find me on Facebook. Just add me and send me a message, and I'll respond. I'll answer your questions.
Awesome. Listen, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it.
Amazing. Do this. Thanks.
Amazing. So we'll try for that once a month thing. I think that's going to be super fun. So on that note, I will wish you a happy evening and wish you a successful and peaceful mind, my friend.
If anyone ever asks, and I've signed stuff like so, and this is something I took from you, which is basically it was this health, success, happiness, and I think there was something else you said, but I had my own spin. So health, success, happiness to all you guys.
Awesome, bro. Okay, look, thank you so much. We're gonna end it there, and I'll see you in 1 month, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, ciao.